Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. So, a big update. The Liberal government plans to spend a huge amount of money to encourage Canadian citizens to SWAT each other. So, what I'm talking about here is the new red flag laws that they've put through. These are laws that were in fact criticized even by anti-gun groups, and these laws will get someone killed. And it might even be me. I'm going to talk about my personal concerns here and how it affects me directly, but I'll also talk about how it affects everyone else. So, the government has planned to spend $4.8 million encouraging people to spread information about their red flag laws. Now, previously, Canada actually had pretty strong red flag laws. If the police thought that you were a danger to yourself or others, they could get a warrant to go in and seize your firearms and potentially ban you from having firearms in future. If there wasn't enough time to get a warrant because it was an urgent situation, they could go and seize the firearms and then apply for the ban afterwards and show that their actions were justified. However, the way things have been changed is to allow any random Canadian to go in and get an order banning some other Canadian from having guns and then send the police to their house to enforce that ban. Now, this would be on the basis of an ex parte application in the court. So you walk in the court and you tell the court why you think this should happen, and the court will grant it or not grant it based solely on what that person says, without hearing from the other side, without being able to do checks that the police could do, for instance, to see, hey, is this a person who's known to us to be somebody who makes frequent false complaints? That kind of thing. So there's all of the checks that normally would have applied when the police do it don't apply anymore. It's just some person who goes in and, yeah. This is a system that is going to be ripe for abuse, and it will get somebody killed because the police will be sent to someone's house armed and so forth, and there's going to be tragedies. So what is the government doing? Well, they are using this new principle, this new law, to funnel money to activist groups who will then put out material supporting their proposal. So here's what they're saying. There's an eligibility criteria for a Red Flag Awareness Initiative 2025. And this is set up to make sure that the people who get these are going to be somewhat friendly people. They must be an eligible recipient. They must perform one or more of the mandatory organization functions listed below, have a minimum of 5% in-kind and/or cash contributions from a non-governmental source, and complete the application form, including the mandatory work plan and project budget. Eligible recipients are national, provincial, territorial, municipal, indigenous, community, or professional organizations, society, or associations, which has voluntarily associated itself for a not-for-profit purpose, and which has a mandate to represent their membership or community, Canadian universities or educational institutions, indigenous or non-status government organizations or communities, municipal or regional governments, international non-government organizations, including bodies affiliated or associated with organizations of which Canada is a member, which has as their purpose supporting public safety and/or emergency management as priorities, and not-for-profit organizations or associations serving the private sector. There's certain mandatory functions. Not eligible includes individuals, federal or provincial or territorial departments or agencies, any sort of police service, for-profit groups, crown corporations. Okay, so basically they're going to be able to funnel money to some of the groups that have been pushing these gun restrictions in the first place. And of course, these groups receiving money will be praiseworthy of all of this. And basically, it's allowing them to spend $4.8 million advertising their gun control push. Oh, and is an election just about to happen? You bet. They're basically electioneering on your dollars. But I said I'd talk a little bit about sort of how this endangers the public. And so the example I'll give is that I personally had a guy who was very upset about one of my videos because I talked about his legal difficulties. And so his response included that he sent emails to the police suggesting that I was dangerous, suggesting that I was mentally ill, suggesting that I have firearms, and was encouraging them to come to my door in order to kick down my door, take my guns, possibly arrest me, all of the whole thing. The thing is that the police knew this guy. They ran his name and they went, oh, this guy is on our list of known troublemakers. He makes false complaints all the time. He cannot be trusted. Whereas if this guy goes into a courtroom, and he can do this anywhere in Canada, they may not necessarily know who he is. He's subject to orders that limit him, but the court may not actually find those. And then he can bring an application and potentially have my door kicked in and potentially get me shot if the police are a little too jumpy in the process. This applies to lots of people. Anybody who's got a vengeful ex, anybody who has an online presence. We've seen that numerous people who stream or do live streaming, that kind of thing, have been swatted, often while they're on stream. People who are political. Maybe a judge will recognize that, Mark Carney or Pierre Poilievre is, not somebody that necessarily, maybe they should be a little skeptical, but they may not know everybody around them. They may not know the names of every lesser MP. And so that also becomes a problem, is that this could be used against political enemies. The whole thing of giving this power to send the police armed and, concerned that there's somebody dangerous there, armed and amped up to somebody else's house, is an incredible thing to just hand over to every random person. This will be a tool used by vexatious litigants. This will be a tool used by people who have people who are angry at their ex, by people who are angry at their boss, by any of these people, just straight up psychos. People who just want to watch the world burn will find this to be an incredibly useful tool that the government now wants to promote heavily because it seems to fit with their election interests. I don't normally get real political, but this is a law that literally could get me killed and could get other people killed. But I mean, it's not just in the abstract here. It's literally, this law is a threat to me. When I was bringing court applications to restrict the person who is targeting me, who is one of the people targeting me, but the person who is targeting me, I specifically mentioned this law as a grave concern because it is. So, yeah, I'm not really happy about how the Canadian government basically says, we want to take the guns away from everybody, but we also want to give people the power to just have your door kicked in. And, I've seen what these raids look like. People get dragged out of their house with their family. They get proned out on their front lawn in front of their neighbors with a gun pointed to the back of their head, and they are absolutely terrified. I have had people phone me from in the middle of a raid like this. I've heard their children screaming. I've heard the fear in their wife or their, significant other's voice. This is literally insane. And the fact that the government finds it convenient to use public money to promote this, because it will in turn promote their government, is messed up to me. So, yeah, I thought I'd share that. I saw this and I went, wow. Now, some people have suggested that I should form an association to apply for this. Well, I am pretty sure I would not be approved, because I'm pretty sure they'd figure out who I am and so forth, and that presenting accurate information on this might not be where they want. Also, my personal ethics say maybe that's not a thing we can do here, but I wanted to share with you, this is the project. I will link their page where they're advertising these measures, or at least they're putting out this request for proposals for people who are willing to advertise for it. They're going to be giving out up to $100,000 to these different organizations to possibly get people killed. I don't know why the previous system of having the police as an intermediary was not sufficient here, but this is what they're doing for votes. Anyway, if I do get killed in one such raid, please share this video and allow me to express, my dissatisfaction with this from beyond the grave if I get killed in one of these raids. And if I just happen to get raided with one of these measures, well, you better believe I'm going to have some opinions on that. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you found this to be interesting or educational or possibly terrifying, because that's what I find it. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to see more content like this. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level: Bottle Shock and Oz, Canada's National Firearms Association, the Canadian Shooting Sports Association, Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, PJs Forever, Angela Skelton, Cielo, Purple Dragonair. And at the $20 level, I want to thank Mark, Lindsay Metcalf, Larry Kalniak, Kyle Fox, Drunkle of the Baileys, Cameron Johnson, Andrew Elsich, Marvin CZ, and Dorky Dane. Thank you as well to my $10 supporters who will be on the crawl immediately following. Thank you for watching. Hope this has armed you with knowledge. See you next time.